Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin. We are looking at Intel once again, and what a move we see indeed, because Intel has really, at least to its seem, been the beneficiary of the semiconductor move. Now, it has the characteristics, it's like an NVIDIA and an AMD mixed together, where you're getting a lot of these pullbacks. And what I mean is that, like, NVIDIA, so right now, Intel is up, over 6 months is up 24%. NVIDIA over 6 months is going to be up significantly more, right? It's up 64%, but 24% isn't that crazy. Now, if we look at AMD, right? And actually, it's interesting that NVIDIA is now down in the 1 month. If we look at AMD, AMD is only up 7.4% over 6 months. That's why I'm saying that Intel seems to have kind of like the mix of the both. It's really more of that mid-market when you think about the way that the market is moving it. It's not the leader, it's not the laggard, it's right in the middle. So this is going to be probably a decent proxy for the overall semiconductor kind of like demand in the market or in the sector if you're in ETFs and things like that. But when we look here at the 1 day, I mean, we've seen quite the drop. From the 12th, when we were at $38, we're at 36. Now, mind you, that's not a bad move. But we are down 4.3% in 1 day, and over 5 days, we are down 6.48%. We've been on a rolling negative return on the 5 day for a few days now. Here's the thing. No matter how much you're up over 15 days, 1 month, 3 months, or 6 months, if you've been part of this 5 days, that hasn't been fun. And since it started to get a little choppy, if you look here, out of the past 5 days, you have 4 of them that are down. That's a signal when you're getting back-to-back after having back-to-back greens for so long here inside of Intel. We're looking at the overall signal. We still have go long in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term on the bullishness or on the trend indicator. We're still very bullish. The one thing I do want to note is that we do have short-term bullishness. That means that your bullishness on your short term is actually more bullish than on your longer term, which is a great thing to see if you're looking at if you're looking at the rebounding after a pullback, that's very positive. If we look at the rolling sentiment, we have been on a rising bull for quite a while since the middle of September here. You can see down here, this is a representation of the 2 day. And the 2 day, while it is up above 50%, this 15-day, 2 day average is rising. We are up at about 57% on the 15th. Things have turned over. Definitely, you can see that on the graph. You can see that here. We're definitely be around 53% in terms of the 2 day rolling bullishness. We did get on the trading signals. We did have multiple bull Q3 back at the end of August, the very beginning of September. Remember, it is going to be the 20th tomorrow. It is actually going to be what, the first day of fall? That's probably good. That's fantastic. We look at the signals here. We have buy. We had it on the 11th, 9/11. Never forget. We do have big bull and small bull and swift bulls. Those are good signals, but those are definitely aged. If we overall look at the charts that we have here, I do want to say, I don't know where exactly the level is where we could see that Intel could stop. Definitely 30. Let's look at what I have for the trend level right now. Because on here we have 32 and $32.02. That'll come up over time as the price continues to move. But right now, $32 is what we look at as the trend. We don't want to see that violated in any pullback. And when you think about it, it probably would stop in here, which is, it looks like this high is $35. So maybe $35 is going to be a very strong level for us to fall back to. I don't know what the low could be this week or how things go, but $35 might be one of those levels that we could respect if we're looking in here. What is the low? So 34, so like 34 to 35. Just expect that it's going to chop in there. If it's 34.50, 34.75, 34.25, you really don't care as long as it's not break 34. But you want to see it stay in kind of the mid to higher. The lowest would be the 35. So that's what you'd prefer, but you don't want to overreact as the market moves. Things just happen. Intel seems to be the beneficiary. If we look at the longer term, at least the weekly sentiment, you can see here, and this is going to be through this week, but so it's not representative completely. Things are up above 50% on the weekly for Intel in terms of its bullishness, and it is rising. There's no reason for us to believe that this is necessarily going to roll over like this. It doesn't have this look of where you see it roll over like it has in the past, like back in 2021. We all know what happened back then. That was this. That was the beginning. If you look here, this is when it rolled over. It looked like it essentially came underneath the April 23rd, it looks like that week. And that was this move here. April 23rd of 2021, you can see on the weekly sentiment indicator, that was the beginning of the end for Intel. And it looks like things have changed. Looks like on the weekly, we are back to high and rising. The volume, what's nice is that we are seeing the price fall, but the volume is not increasing significantly. We do see high volume at the very high prices, which is also a really good signal for the bullishness. Look at the volatility here for Intel. It is breaking out. What I love to see is that you see the blue, how the blue is negative, or at least it's below the line, and now it's coming above the line. That means it's going from a negative to positive flip in terms of the correlation to price and volatility. And the volatility itself is breaking out. So you are loving the moves you're seeing inside of Intel right now. That's why you're seeing these exponential moves. It's ugly on the backside. Like, we'll be honest, like, this is an ugly setup for the backside of when a move pulls back. But you have to appreciate the good days. You got to appreciate the bad days because you appreciate the good days. So hopefully you figured out how to be able to sell a little bit and kind of hold on to some of those gains. But when we look here at what Intel's doing, things look fantastic. Obviously, this correlation is flipping back and forth as quickly as it wants, faster than even this 15-day moving average, which I love to see. Like this thing was below before this thing. So the blue was below the line before the red line even got to zero. And then it's flipped back up above barely when it gets below. I just love to see that kind of action because what it tells you is that the market is driving the price. It's not necessarily like an algorithmic trade. You know what I mean? Like this is actually the market is saying we need to buy Intel, the company. This isn't just we're buying shares. And that's really positive to see if you think about the psychology of why shares actually get purchased, because the market's, most of it's just passive flows. You know what I mean? So if we're looking at the trade range here, we can see the top of the range. What I love, it's at the highest price it's been in the past 9 months. It's at $41. I suspect that we'll see $41 at a certain point. We see the bottom is low. It's at $30, but the price is just in the middle. The price could again come back down to like 34, 35, 32. You can see here, but again, that's trend. You just expect that the price is going to continue to rise because the top of the range while it's rising is very important. Now, we have seen this exact same thing back in June. We saw that the price of the range was rising and then it fell as the price kind of stagnated. That's what you might see. You might see a move, pullback, and then just sideways action. But here's the thing. Sideways action is never bad action. It just gives you more opportunity to kind of load up, and then you understand that you can buy the dips. And if you truly are somebody who wants to be in it for the longer term, I don't think there's a better setup than when you're looking at something that's been clearly bearish. You know, from the top, I mean, the absolute top, the pinnacle at 68.26 back in April of 2021 to what we imagine is probably the bottom here in February of 2023. I don't know if that coincides specifically or, actually it looks like the October is probably the bottom, but at least here in Intel, it looks like we've been going up. The top of the range on the weekly is rising. Oh, we lost that data. The top of the range is rising on the weekly. What we see essentially is that we have the overall price and the trend and the momentum in our direction, and we can support it, we can believe in it. And that's the best part right now. What we really like is something where we can say that the price is going to go higher. The signals are bullish. The signals are telling us that this is a safe place to be. And we see a little pullback. So being down 4% or whatever it was, that's a fantastic move. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. We send you 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks between $5 and $20 that are breaking out. Stocks breaking out to one-year highs. Stocks breaking out to all-time highs. It's a great list to get your week started and just do your trading Sunday. I'll talk to you soon.